Raghav, I'm gently sharing that you're playing well.
Thank you.
Raghav and I were together in Boston in August, and I had a meeting at night, and I was sitting at a table, working, talking, and he was sitting on the ground, sort of working, sort of listening. And after the meeting, he came to me and said, "How can I help?" That's the greatness of Raghav. We know he can play the piano. We are all soothed by this. But that's really what makes people like Raghav, who are so young, yet so inclined to service. And when I had asked him to play the piano, I've heard him play many times. I've stayed at his home many times. He's at college right now. And he said, I'm in college. Where am I going to find a piano? At most, I'll find a keyboard. And I thought, that will still be great with you playing. And when he turned his camera on today, he was at a piano. That notion of how can I help is beautiful. Everyone, relax your bodies. Inhale deeply through your nose. As you exhale, close your eyes. And feel the quietude of your mind. Feel that you are happy right here, right now. Be more authentic and deep to feel that this experience you're having is not because of the sound of a piano or the chanting of Om. Being happy is context-based. Feel that you are happiness. This is your nature. This is content-based. Now bring into your mind someone you know who needs help to feel happy. Someone who has forgotten that being happy is simple. And start to feel, start to transfer your happiness, which is infinite, to the person you're thinking about who needs help. Start to see them with your mind, feeling more light in body. Feeling more lighthearted. Feeling happy. Inhale through your nose. As you exhale, open your eyes and smile. Welcome to the Happiness Series 6. We are about to immerse in our 4th and final day. There are hundreds of us who are gathering for the Happiness Series. And I know many of you know me. For those who are newer, we would like to welcome you more so to our community. Everyone, please share what siddhi you are joining us from. Everyone through Zoom, everyone through Facebook. After we complete our workshop this evening, I will read the chat and go through all of the siddhis that you're joining from. And the same goes with Facebook. And again, those who are newer to our community, we welcome you more and we want to see you. That's why part of the culture in this community is for everyone to have their full names written and for their cameras to be on. So there's more transparency. There's more closeness. You are joy. Today, people would have called you a lot of things. You are this and you are that. But finally, you are joy. And proof of that is quality of objects, quantity of objects, absence of objects, escaping the unnatural and embracing the natural. Even though a proof has been shared that you are joy, if you still don't feel that you are joy, this is because you're not used to it. You haven't practiced being joy. What we are immersed in is a subjective science. It's not a science about that which is outside of us. This is a science about us. If one doesn't practice being joy, then one doesn't know this science. That is what is different between a subjective science and an objective science. I can know economics, but not practice it, not follow the principles of economics. But with the subjective science, if you don't practice, you don't know. And that is why a subjective science like what we're immersed in is less popular than an objective science. With what we're doing, you can't escape. You can't deflect. We are trying to develop the habit of feeling I am joy by looking at a value from 360 degrees. To be thorough with what a value is traditionally, what it means in terms of ties, what are techniques to practice this value. And by doing so, when one practices values, they become virtues. Values are in books, virtues are in you. Shared in a different way, what we are doing together is we're trying to grow from being a human to being Hanuman, the one who has all virtues in all ways. Reviewing days 1, 2, and 3. To nurture the first personality power, our technique is engage your responsibility. And I'd shared one way to do this is to unitask, to give importance to your responsibility. Now, as you do this, you will make a mistake. You will falter. When one unitasks, they know that they've made a mistake. So they're more open to saying, I'm sorry. And they don't just say it, but they mean this. Saying sorry in a meaningful way is a great expression of humility. Our second practice, research your identity. When I facilitate workshops for corporations, I share the same message with them And I ask them, what did you read today? What did you read this week? And their consistent reply is, we read technical manuals about coding, about banking, and this and that. Are you inspired by coding and banking? Read that, which makes you want to be a better person. Because who are you? You are joy. Research this. Our third practice, appreciate your opportunity. This is the third technique. Appreciate your opportunity. For those who have some background in Sanskrit, this would be called prasada buddhi. To cheerfully accept all that comes in and out of your life. Our fourth technique, support your utility. What's important to you, don't be casual about this, support this. And there is no greater utility than being joy. I often reflect to myself, especially when I interact with others, the most impractical way to live is to live by stress, anxiety, and dejection. I feel like such a person is not living. They're alive, but not living. Again, coming back to Sanskrit, this would be, if there's prasada buddhi, there is arpana buddhi. To give your resources, time, and effort to that which is important. Practice or technique number 5, hear your family. Hear your family. When we practice this technique, what we are really giving to our family is quality time. Nobody here has excess time. I'm sure everybody here, if they could buy time, would pay for that. I definitely would. So knowing I don't have excess time, but people want time, then what should I do? If I hear my family, I'm giving them that quality time so they don't want as much then. It's very practical. And remember, hearing your family is different than listening to your family. A recent one I had with a young seeker who just got engaged. She was sharing with me the complications of wedding planning. I have a lot of experience with this. And what I had told her is that you have to make decisions because you're the one who's going to experience the consequences of these decisions in terms of relationships, in terms of profession. Your parents are not going to be in that relationship. They're not going to engage in that profession. You have to decide. And then I further challenged her to think, what is the greatest gift? I'm asking all of you, what is the greatest gift you can give to your parent, to your parents, to the older generation? Share with me in the chat. Many of you are sharing great answers. I like to summarize it as, for them to not have to worry about us. If you make decisions, that means you're being decisive. Your parents will worry about you less. The older generation will worry about you less. Our 6th personality power is effort, is diligence, is intensity, whatever word you want to use. We will go with effort. There is no substitute for hard work. Does anyone disagree? Just think of your physical health. Is there a substitute to hard work? You can bypass exercising. You can bypass eating well. You can. Relatedly, There is no end to work. Everyone agrees. As soon as you're finished cleaning your home, it's getting dirty. As soon as you're feeling a relationship is healthy, there's a challenge that comes in. So there's no substitute to hard work. There's no end to hard work. And infused in all of this is no one is indispensable. We tend to feel only I'm working hard. How come I have to work all day? And we feel that we're indispensable. No one is indispensable. Puja Swami Tejrawananda told me that. What a message. No one is indispensable. He's not talking about him. He's talking about me. And so, intensity is not just working hard, it is also working smart. And by doing so, we become a better person. Everyone knows a lazy person in their life. You may be that person you know. Lazy people don't become better, correct? It's the hard, smart working people that become better. In Sanskrit, don't we call that yoga? We tend to think of yoga as exercises and flexibility. Conversely, yoga is making one's mind more flexible. Quite often when I interact with high school students, they'll tell me how boring high school is. We have to go to class and we have to do homework and this and that. And I share with them, why are you going to school? And their response is, you're right. Why am I going to school? And they'll share they go to school for academics, so they can go to college, so they can get a job, so they can have money. 15-year-olds thinking like this, like they're Kubera, the treasure of heaven. And I share with them the purpose of school, I've gone through this, is not academia. The purpose of school is management. To learn how to manage your time, manage relationships, manage your hygiene, brush your teeth multiple times a day. Then all of a sudden, high school, college, life becomes much more interesting then. We work harder, we work smarter. Our technique is direct your energy. Direct your energy. Every one of us has energy, we have enthusiasm. Direct this towards making yourself better, towards practicing yoga in a meaningful way. If you don't direct your energy, your body, your mind, your ego will control you. But if you direct your energy, then you are essentially controlling your body, your mind, your ego. Now, some may be thinking, how do I direct this? In which direction should this be? Shared in different words is, how do I know what my purpose is? And the answer to this is, when you associate with those who have purpose, then they radiate to us what our purpose can be. By associating with those who are directing their energy, this becomes more of a reality for us. It's like, if you've never met someone who wakes up early, you think it's impossible. But as soon as you meet someone who wakes up early, then you start to think it's possible for you too, correct? One more insight into this technique is, as you're engaged in directing your energy, organize your time, organize your aspirations. That's the working smart part. In front of me, I naturally have my philosophical notes, but I also have my planner. Tomorrow morning, I have to fly to Kansas. I have all of these meetings and this and that. By being organized, our aspirations become closer. And though this is not a word, when you organize, you synergize. Synergize sounds like it should be a word, correct? But it's not a word. So organize, synergize. We continue to our final two personality powers. Number 7 is Ishitva. Ishitva. Starting from tradition, this is the ability to rule. The ability to rule people. Continuing with that, Sugriva was Sri Hanumana's older friend, was very fear-filled. It is said that he's run around the world many times. So wherever you're joining from, Sugriva has been there. And once he saw these two amazing beings in the jungle, and he sent Sri Hanumana to find out who they are. And Sri Hanumana ended up finding out that this is Sri Rama and Sri Lakshmana. And that whole meeting could have ended there. But what Sri Hanumana did was he introduced Sri Rama and Sri Lakshmana to Sugriva, to his older friend. And in doing so, Sri Rama helped Sugriva to grow out of being fear-filled to being daring, to being courageous, where he had to challenge his brother. And in doing so, Sugriva ended up becoming the king of the monkeys. Naturally, I'm being brief with this. But the point that I'm trying to make here from a tradition perspective, Sugriva was officially the king of the monkeys, but who did everyone follow? Who was everyone ruled by? Sri Hanumana. So there's such a difference between being the official person and being the people person. And Ishitva is where we rule by being a people person. Now I shift over to ties. How can we change this from a physical power to a personality power? Ishitva is leadership. The value of leadership. When you hear this word, when you read this word, please share in the chat, what do you think of? Instinctively, just write what comes to your mind. Influence, guide, graceful, role model. You are great students. That's why you're sharing this. Typically, in society, when we come across this word, we come across this in a motivational sense. You have motivational speakers and motivational workshops on leadership. But the deficiency with motivation, motivational speakers, workshops, etc., is there's always a comparison. There's always a comparison. Leadership is about leading by example. Leading by example. So see, there's a comparison. I'm doing this for another. I'll share this in a different way. When you are driving to school, you're driving to work, you're driving to the grocery store, and you see someone on the side of the road that is asking for money to buy dinner, how do you feel? My analysis is, for me, my first feeling is pity. My second feeling is gratitude. Gratitude that I have dinner, that I'm going to sleep in a bed. But see how shallow that is, that I'm only grateful in reference to another. The right way to be grateful is to be independently grateful. And that's why leadership is not lead by example. It is to lead oneself, period. An acronym that I have found works really well in terms of being a people person, being someone who people come to, is plea. Pray, lead, engage, accept. Pray. When one prays, one's mind becomes quieter. The more quiet your mind, the more you understand yourself, the more you understand others. When we began this evening's workshop, what were we doing? We were praying for those who need help with being happy. We didn't chant any words. We didn't use any language, but the mind was quiet. The next letter, L, is lead yourself. Lead yourself because that's the right way to think and speak and act. E is engage. Engage in a dialogue. Get to know what another person's perspective is. And then A is accept. It's very easy to say, just accept me, accept the society, accept the vote. But actually practicing feeling acceptance is hard. And that's why one has to go through the sequence to get to acceptance. From ties to technique. From ties to technique. The technique is discipline your priority. Discipline your priority. This is technique number 7. The last time you were on a plane and the announcements were being shared about safety this and safety that, and then they share when oxygen masks fall from the ceiling, who gets to wear the oxygen mask that's right above you? Whose should you put on first? You. You are your priority. And that's really another way of me saying, lead yourself. Discipline yourself. Now, if we do happen to extend this to others, you can only share what you have, correct? If you came to this home and asked for a hamburger, we don't have a hamburger here, so you can't get a hamburger here, correct? We don't have it, so we can't share it. If you came here and said, do you have vanilla frosting? That too we don't have, but I wish we had. So if we had it, we would share it with you. So now, if I want the people around me to be disciplined, but I'm indisciplined, that's not going to work. And one more insight before we get to the last personality power. Everyone is watching everyone. Agreed? When you're at home, everyone is watching you. When you're at work, everyone is watching you. When you're at school, everyone is watching you. We tend to come up with these motivational practices and policies to have other people led. But if you lead yourself, people are watching, they will be the same way. Very soon, our crew will be tending to dynamics. And I don't have the time to explain this so much, but everyone who's part of our community's crew, I've known for a long time. We've studied together, we've traveled together. And my point in this is that there's a mutual discipline that makes for a strong team, a strong crew. And number 8, the final of the siddhis. Ashta means 8. This is the 8th. To me, this is the most important. Vashitva. Vashitva. From the perspective of tradition, this is the ability to control. I meant, yes, control. I was thinking about the opposite. The ability to control. Now, some may be thinking this is so similar to Ishitva. Here's the way to understand this. Ishitva is to rule from the top down. Vashitva is to control from the bottom up. It's a grassroots strategy. So more from tradition. When Sri Hanumana arrived in Lanka and he met one seeker, his name Vibhishana, and they got to sharing how much they love Sri Rama. And then Sri Hanumana asked Sri Vibhishana, where is Devi Sita? And he said, she's there. And then Sri Hanumana asked Sri Vibhishana, have you talked to her? And he said, no. And Sri Hanumana chided him for, you say you love Sri Rama and you know where his spouse is, the one whom he loves, but all you've done is thought about her and nothing more. You've not put in the effort, the action to go and relieve her of fear, to give her hope. He challenged Vibhishana. And in doing so, Vibhishana, Sri Vibhishana, was moved by this, and he did go to Devi Sita and did relieve her of a lot of her fears. And upon doing so, eventually, when Sri Vibhishana meets Sri Rama for the first time, he calls him Lankeshwara, which means, I'm happy to meet you, King of Lanka. I wish I had more time. Even though I determine the schedule for the happiness series, but I never have enough time for myself also. You see how Sri Hanumana made Sugriva the king and Vibhishana the king, but he never needed to be the king. Correct? So for all of us, more important than titles is relatability, which takes me to our ties. The eighth personality power is love. Love. Love is that which keeps growing. If your love is not continuously growing, then it's not love. You can call it by other words like affection or attachment, but it's not love. And I especially am sharing this towards all of us in reference to our families. I know that we love our families, but if one is not growing that love beyond their family, then you've temporarily experienced love, but it's not growing. So now it's staying the same, it's stagnating. It's becoming affection, attachment. In the Ramayana, one of the most amazing parts is where Sri Rama teaches Sugriva what it means to be a friend. And two of the qualities that I'm highlighting here are, the first is, not first in order of importance, but the first that is shared is compassion. And the second is to challenge. A friend is one who challenges another, challenges that friend to be better, to be happy. In my experience, I have found that so many workshops, so many teachers emphasize the compassion part, but I feel those who are challenging us are actually more compassionate towards us. They know what is best for us and want what is best for us. Often it's us who don't understand that, and we resist that. In my own personal experience, the unconditional love that I've received from Puja Swami Tejo Mahananda, he has constantly challenged me, the way I think, the way I act, my responsibilities. When one experiences such active compassion, one can't help but want to be controlled by the one who's offering that unconditional love. From ties to technique, the technique is merge your identity. merge, and I apologize, instead of the word identity, because we've used that, merge your individuality. Merge your individuality. You know, on Excel, when you merge cells, those cells become bigger, correct? So in the same way, when I am an individual, I am the smallest unit. So what we tend to do is merge the individuality with family so it becomes bigger. But one has to merge that individuality till you can't merge anymore. When you can't merge anymore, there's only oneness, unity. And think of this practically. If you're caring for the bigger unit, that includes the smaller unit, correct? If Niagara Falls gets uplifted, that means my family does too. We're a family in this city. Final thought. In terms of merging your individuality, this is a unique science. We're not used to this. When you travel to countries that are not like the country you are living in, that exposure helps you to open your mind. Agreed? How other people speak, how other people drive, how other people make decisions. When we expose ourselves to an individuality, to a family, to a community, whose aspiration is to merge your individuality, that has an impact on us. So right now, if you don't feel this, keep exposing yourself to those whose life purpose is to merge their individuality. Downtime complete, discourse complete. Now to our dynamics. Design thinking helped us to nurture confidence. Prithvi Seva, dedication. Social work, adaptability. A word that I like to live by, it's an ideal for me, is swatantra. That means independent. As I began to serve more actively, so many changes came about in my service, like the need for understanding the virtual space, using social media, tending to publications. And though I like to live by the ideal of independence, I am highly dependent on our crew. And you have met them, you will meet them right now too. I am highly dependent on them. All that we get to do is because of them. I am simply a voice, but all the amplification is their service. They are going to now facilitate dynamics as long as they want. And they're going to focus on Vashitva, or love. Crew, continue.
Hari Om, everyone. Hari Om, Vivek. Before I begin, I'll like to invite Kanchan to spotlight the crew over here. This is kind of like the Oscars where everyone gets on the stage, but it's not quite Oscars. So we have Anvita, Kanchan, Yatin, Ragini, Rita, Rupa, Sheetal, and we are missing one, Soumya-ji. But that's the crew, and we are the ones who do the small steps towards implementing the big vision that Vivekji inspires us with. Our purpose, as might have been shared. Oh, did I miss Nina? Yeah, I missed Nina. I didn't see that on the screen. I do apologize, and Nina as well. Our purpose, as beautifully guided by Vivekji, is to follow and further Sanatana Dharma. And about 6 years ago, the seeds of this community was planted with this name of Vichara Gurukula. And that time we had 3 courses. And look now, 6 years later, we have courses practically for every day of the week. We have communities for all different age groups. We have collaborations that results in beautiful books and movies, and we have celebrations where the community comes together. So this community has grown so beautifully, and as Vivekji was just sharing, this is the love that keeps growing. The community keeps growing. We are forever grateful and blessed to serve our master and guide, Vivekji, constantly inspired by Vivekji's dedication to his master Swami Tejomayananda, who revels in the glory of his master, Puja Gurudev. So we are very glad to be part of this flow and offer our small services towards this big vision. So for today's dynamics, we are very excited to present a video that showcases this journey over 6 years, and as a bonus, some behind the scene moments, which is going to be fun for all of you. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone's faces and their emotions, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of emotions. In order to capture these emotions, we're going to be sharing a link, and I'd like all of you to click on that link and enter the words that come to your mind as you're watching this video. As the words go in, we're going to be creating a word cloud, and that's going to be a snapshot of how this community feels about the community. So you can submit multiple words, as many words as you can. So looking forward to seeing that. So fasten your seatbelts, grab your tissue papers, and put your eyes on the screen because we have a video coming for you. Kanchan.
Hari Om and good evening from Niagara Falls, Banff, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, London, Clearfield, Cleveland. Binu Satsanga Vivekana Hoy. Without the company of those who are noble, without the company of those who are trying to be better, then understanding what's important, prioritization will not be possible. All of us live busy lives. Though we're all connected technologically, still we feel isolated. The vision of Vichara Gurukula is to bring people together using technology to connect people so that that feeling of isolation is not there, but together we focus on what's important. We keep inspiring each other.
And when we say inspiring, we mean it. Since our community put down its roots in 2016, the branches of our courses, communities, and collaborations have only blossomed further. Today, we also offer podcasts, videos, and short films, multiple books and guides, and inspiration yatras, all carefully designed to support our collective growth. And yes, with the growth of our courses, communities, and collaborations has come the growth of our crew, who facilitate the flow of all things Chinmaya Mission Niagara. Sometimes it's hard to imagine where we first started. In 2016, we had one community, 2 platforms for connection, and just 3 courses. With each and every year, more and more seekers resonated with this powerful message of simple living and high thinking. And with that came more opportunities to deepen our development and pursue peace. Now, in 2022, we offer 10 communities, ranging from tips for navigating life as a caregiver and parenting culture, to tapping into what works for wellness in our Chinmaya mentorship program. We now have 8 platforms where seekers can connect with each other in a virtual way, sharing reflections, tapping into the power of satsang. And these days, we offer 6 courses every week, all incorporating discourse, discussion, dynamics, and dialogue. And as our community cultivated its commitment, so too came opportunities to share that inspiration with others. We offer multiple books and guides that can anchor conversations about Vedanta in every part of your day, whether it is teaching Balavihar, pursuing your own self-study, running your own study group, and even cooking up a delicious dish in your kitchen. One of our newest platforms, our website, is a home for all seekers to share their inspiration, responding to a variety of reflection adventures, exploring upcoming events, and accessing all of our resources in one spot. Beyond books and guides, our community has developed ways to bring this information with you on the go. One of our favorites is Live Vedanta, a weekly podcast that brings Vivekji's dynamic discourses straight to your phone, accessible at any time. Among our major milestones has been crossing over 100,000 downloads worldwide. And now every month, Live Vedanta reaches the homes of 2,000 unique listeners. We're also big fans of our short films, which are amazing tools to spark deep discussion in study groups, Balavihar classrooms, and more. And as the world has experienced challenges, our community has stepped up to support. From April 2020 to October 2021, this community raised more than $500,000 to society, giving generously to deep and diverse causes, from sustainability efforts to food access, women's empowerment, and much, much more.
From 2011 to 2015, we started our yatras, and we were at Cord Siruvani a lot. So our yatris were inspired by the social work, so we raised $100,000 for Cord Siruvani. Then from 16 to 17, we were in Trinidad a lot. So we were inspired by the schoolwork. So we raised $100,000 for the schoolwork. And now we're here, and we're inspired by Guruji, and we're not going to come back here for 2 years because Guruji's not going to be here. So we made a pledge to raise $100,000 for Guruji. For Guruji.
For Guruji?
Yes.
Whether Guruji wants, Guruji will.
Yes. So we'll donate $50,000 next year, $50,000 the year after that.
And you all are with him. Very expensive to me. Very good, very good. Thank you all very much. And I appreciate that.
Traveling the road home. Traveling the road home. Traveling the road home. Traveling the road home. Cause the world is a bridge and the body's all alone. God bless every child traveling the road home.
मैं बोलता हूँ मेरे दिमाग में इंग्लिश रहता है और फिर मैं उसको हिंदी में बदल देता हूँ। जो हम जी रहे हैं, हम सब दुख का निवृत्ति में खुश है, पर ये असली खुश बात नहीं है। इसी दुख का निवृत्ति आता है और जाता है। हमारा जिंदगी का मकसद क्या है? और एक ही मकसद है, और वो है सुख प्राप्ति। सुख प्राप्ति जब आता है वो कहीं जाएगा नहीं, और एक ही चीज दुनिया में जाता नहीं है, और ये आपका आत्मा है ना?
Cause the world is a bridge and the body's all alone. God bless every child traveling the road home.
Vivek ji, Zindabad. Okay, so I'm sure there's going to be a huge demand for Vivek ji's discourses in Hindi coming soon. Okay, so hopefully all of you enjoyed that video presentation, and we're now going to have some interactivity on this. So we're going to invite all of you to join a breakout room, and there's going to be about 5 to 6 in the breakout room. And we have a prompt for you to discuss and reflect on. So here's the context. Are you ready? Yes? So imagine you're the author for CMN Times, the Chinmaya Niagara Times. This is a newsletter about the Chinmaya Niagara community that is delivered every day, every second to Bhagwan Krishna. So your prompt is this. In this context, what is the headline that CMN Times is going to have for today? And the second prompt is, what is the headline that CMN Times will have 6 years from now? So we'll put that on the chat. Give me a second. There you go. So that's the prompt for reflection and discussion, and we'll love to see what you come up with as a headline for Bhagwan Krishna. What is CMN headlines for today and 6 years from now? Mentioned. Let's start the breakout room.
Hariom, everyone, especially those of you who are on our Facebook Live right now. We're super excited that you're here with us. If for those of you who have heard what Ricky has had to share, we would love to see what your newsletter would say. What would be the headline today, and what would be the headline 6 years from now? We'll be looking at our Facebook page to see what all of you who are joining there will have to say as well. So we'll tune back shortly. We might as well have a discussion all together, since so that if people are not sharing in the chat on Facebook, we can at least like invite people into our own thinking. So I immediately jumped into thinking about 6 years from now. I've been thinking about the way we share the word community in particular. Vivek Ji has inspired us to capitalize the U, so it's community, or like coming to unity. So my headline for 6 years from now is breaking news. There is no community, there's just unity. I want to popcorn to some of the members of the team to see if you want to share a headline either for the present or for the future. So popcorn Ricky, I would love to hear what's going through your head.
I was coming up with a prompt. I haven't thought of the answer yet. But no, that's a good one. What would be the headline today? I think the headline today is a community that has truly inspired people to focus and prioritize self-development. And 6 years from now, I think the headline would be that this community has sparked so many more people to go deeper in self-development, in the pursuit of peace, and radiating that. I think the word that I'd imagine that headline is radiation. So this community has radiated to the world around us. I'm going to popcorn it to Yatin.
Everyone. Hi, I'm Ricky. Thank you so much. From a headline perspective, what I would say is a lot of it is Chinmay Nagra and Vivek Ji inspire joy as our current headline, and we take it 6 years from now. We're only going to add more and include more adjectives to that headline as well. So we will append Vivek Ji inspires joy, love, gratitude, and gratefulness. And we'll continue adding more and more adjectives to each of our headlines as well. Hariom, I'm going to popcorn it over through to Shita.
Hariom, everyone. Such amazing thoughts. Some of the thoughts that come to my mind when I think about our community today is independent joy, learning to transition from codependence and dependence to independence. And when I think 6 years from now, I just feel that our reach is going to be a lot more global. We're going to be able to bring a lot more individuals to join our community, to join this revolution, I feel. So perhaps a headline could be, I don't know that it would be Chinmay Nagra anymore. It's going to be something, a lot more broad. So I don't know what the headline would be, but it would be certainly expanding to a broader demographic for sure. I'll popcorn it to Rupa.
Hariom. I think if I had to choose a title for today's article, I would base it on one of the virtues that we learned about today. So I think I would do Vashitva, merging our individualities. And I will popcorn it to Rita.
Hariom, thank you, Rupa. So the 6-year headline from now, I would say the Happiness Series 12 is meeting in person at a retreat center. Hariom.
Why don't you popcorn to one more as we...
Of course, I'll popcorn it over to Ragini.
Hariom, everyone. So my headline for now would be how much this community led by Vivekji has given to the society in so many aspects, in so many facets. And then from 6 years from now, how global this has become, as in how much more people are giving towards the society, towards humanity. So that would be it. How do you?
Wonderful. Welcome back for all of you joining from the breakout rooms. I'd like to invite all of you, or maybe someone from each group, to share on chat the headlines that you have come up with. Maybe 1 year and then the 6 year, or current and 6 years from now. And while you're putting those headlines, I'll invite Nina to share the word cloud that captures the sentiments, or Kanchan is going to be sharing that, shares the sentiments that this community is feeling about the community itself.
That's really cute. I like that a lot.
It is incredible. The big word there, gratitude, love, grateful, blessed, inspiring, sweet growth, Hindi, powerful, that's a very nice word, diversity, satsanga, awesome. Love the words. This is such a beautiful sentiment that's being shared. Nina's music, yes. Okay, and I haven't seen any chat shares, so I'm just going to quickly look at that. There you go. Now, tethering cord to Krishna, and 6 years from now, always giving power of Sangha. The room one shares Zoom to Kanaya. I love that. And 6 years from now, meeting with Lord of Real Delight with the L capital. It's amazing how Vivekji comes through so many of our vocabulary as well as we start to capitalize words in the middle or letters in the middle or find alliterations. Excellent. So let the community read through the headlines. These are all beautiful headlines. The last thought that we'd like to share with all of you is that if this offering and if this community has moved you the way it has us today, then let's make the sankalpa to end the year with a bang. Let's take a sankalpa to find one new person to bring to this community. We have 10 communities over here for all different age groups and different demographics. So let's make it a sankalpa to all bring one more individual into this community, into this movement of self-development. With that, thank you, and back to Vivekji.
I have to keep moving for the sake of formality. Downtime, discourse, dynamics, dialogue. Our dialogue began with a supporter of self-development. On Tuesday, we heard from a seeker who studied in the Chinmay Mission Vedanta course from 2014 to 2016. On day 3, a seeker who studied in the Vedanta course from 2013 to 2014. And today's dialogue will be tended to by me. I, Chinmay Mission Vedanta course from 2005 to 2007. I began trying to serve on January 4th, 2008. So that's coming up on 15 years. And today I was thinking lots more so than usual about the end of the year celebration that is the Happiness Series. And the genesis of this for Vivek is being at an ashram with an acharya. Our ashram is, the ashram I got to experience is Sandipani, and the acharya being Pujya Swami Tejo Mayananda. And what I feel has come from this 25 months is that the standard I have for myself has changed. I feel prior to our ashram, our acharya, I was living randomly. And then my experience has now changed that to having a higher standard, and I'll be very forthright, it's the highest standard to be Sri Hanumana with no separation, no conditions. I had private messaged Ricky because he was speaking in our dynamics that the portion that was included about Pujya Swami Tejo Mayananda was too much. It was too moving for me. All of you, please look to Slido like I'm doing right now. There are 10 questions. I'm going to give a perspective to every question. And everyone who's using Slido, keep engaging this. Keep upvoting, downvoting, whatever you can do. Make this dynamic. Question number 1, anonymous. How do you balance holding on and supporting versus falling down and learning when it comes to teens and their decisions? How do you maintain your peace in such times? I have to give 2 perspectives, but I'll still be brief. The higher perspective is that you are not the authoritative caregiver of anyone, including your teenager. They have a grandparent, they have a great-grandparent, they have the original parent who is divine. The more relative perspective is we have learned more from life than our parents. We have learned more by faltering than succeeding. Let your children, let your teenagers falter. I'm not saying fail, I'm saying falter. This will make them tougher. We tend to encourage too much comfort, which is a form of sheltering them. It's like having a weak immune system. You can't go anywhere then. You have to be in this controlled environment. Next, how do we cultivate discipline in tasks that require our full concentration during times we feel unmotivated? Unmotivated is the same as being disinterested. If one is disinterested, it's because they've closed themselves to learning how to be happy. So the higher perspective is the purpose of every experience is to learn to be a better person, to learn to practice values. The lower perspective is use a planner to set up your routine. These planners, these routines, they help us to not succumb to indecision, to moodiness. Like suppose there was no happiness series tonight, what would you be doing right now? But if you've scheduled in the happiness series, then you're here right now, correct? Someone had emailed me saying they were in a late meeting, and so they couldn't get into the Thursday class. Even though that was emailed to them and announced for many times that we're going to have the happiness series, but you see, that's not a priority for them. It's not scheduled for them. So organize, that will help one to synergize. And someone had shared with me in the chat that synergize is a word. According to dictionary.com, it's not. According to your more large-hearted dictionary, it is. Anyways, it's a philosophical word for us. Next, how do I cultivate more hope and optimism in my worldview? First and foremost is to be around those who are hopeful. If you're around those who are hopeless or who have less hope, one will normalize this. Be careful with your association. As you associate, so you think. As you think, so you develop. Then the lower perspective is use parameters again about that which you find to be less optimistic, that to be more complaining oriented. Only experience some of that. As an example, in our home, we don't have a television. Even when Sheila and I and Vyasa lived in my parents' home too, when we lived in my parents' basement, we never had a television. So the only news we had access to that we did was listening to something on. I unplugged the Google Home because I would use that reference. See, it worked out. Is Google Home, play some news. So then it's not impacting one as much then, because so much of what is shared in the news is negative. So limit that. It's like junk food. Fine, eat junk food, but not every night. Maybe on a Friday night. Next, how do we cultivate discipline in tasks? I think I answered. Our crew can delete the questions that have been answered. The first three have. Okay, next. Does prioritizing your needs make one selfish? How does one deal with this and stay true to yourself? Practicing values, another word for that is self-development, is the most selfless purpose because you naturally share what you have. So if Vivek becomes more patient, I'm going to share that with you. If I become more joyous, I'm going to share that with you. And that's only possible when I practice values, when I engage in self-development. This notion that this is selfish shows how habituated we are to objective sciences. More pleasure, more possession, more position. The relative perspective to this is, if people are pressuring you that you're taking too much time investing in yourself, go to sleep earlier and wake up earlier. If you wake up early, you essentially have all of the space and time to yourself, where nobody is saying this or looking at you. Tomorrow I have to leave at 3:30 a.m. and I will get to the airport. And so my plan is to get up at 2:30 a.m. That way I have some time for myself before I have to go to Kansas City and interact with people constantly. So from 2:30 a.m. to 3:30 a.m., there's nobody there to say, why aren't you doing this? Or look at me or help me with this. I often get tired when I'm surrounded by people. Is this an impression of me not being my authentic self? Or is it because of lack of sadhana? That's my question. You all upvoted that. And the higher perspective is, it is a lack of sadhana, a lack of self-development. You don't have enough energy and enthusiasm to share that with another. And so if you have to share with another, then you have to keep replenishing yourself. I had shared with the seeker recently, as your responsibilities increase, so should your self-development. Sanskrit words, as your dharma rises, so should your sadhana. So that is the higher perspective. The lower perspective is, when you're around people, what I try to practice is, instead of speaking, listen. That was one of the techniques, correct? Hear your family. When I'm with people and I'm not teaching like I'm doing right now, I keep asking questions. I keep finding out how they are. I find listening to be more energy conserving than speaking. I had read somewhere that the two biggest drains on one's energy is talking and sex. And so talking requires a lot of energy. And that's why it's important that if you're finding that you're more depleted, listen more. It's good in so many ways. Next, how do you feel gratitude without comparing? Yes, I had talked about that today. I'm going to start with a relative perspective. Being ungrateful is worse than being grateful by comparison. So if the only way you're going to be grateful is by comparing yourself to someone who's asking for money on the road, the example I've given, then that's better than not having any gratitude. But the more absolute perspective, and I have shared this with all of you, that the higher form of prayer is not for asking for anything, but rather for appreciating everything. The higher way to be grateful is to be grateful for who you are. See, who you are is not in reference to another. When I say I'm appreciative of my phone, you have a phone too, so there's a comparison. But if I'm appreciative of who I am, the body, the mind, the intellect, that's so personal. So it's not comparison oriented. So try to be grateful for who you are. The lower form of gratitude is being grateful for what you have. Next, is being smart and good contradictory mutually, or can there be an overlap? They're not mutually exclusive. The higher perspective is to be good first and then smart. Nurture your EQ first and then IQ. Then the lower perspective is, if you have a choice where you do feel they're mutually exclusive, then invest in being good. The purpose of everyone's life is to be happy. To be happiness is a better word. It is not to have more pleasure, possession, position. So if someone is happy, but lives in a smaller home, has less tasty food, people don't know about them, that's a more idealistic life than someone who's unhappy, but has so much outer stuff. I've already shared that the most impractical way to live is to live by stress. That means everything you're doing is tainted, it's dirty because of that stress. Last question, I tried. I think I answered a lot. How do young adults find other young seekers to be around that also have purpose and are disciplined so that they can inspire each other? The higher perspective is lead yourself. If you are surrounding yourself by those who are inspired or independent, your teenagers, your kids, your children are watching you. They will also do the same. The more relative perspective is this community. If you reflect on all of the downtime was by our young adults, correct? Aryan is in grade 7. He's not even a young adult. He's not even a youth. He's still at a kid level. Then you got to see the amazing video about how much of programming is for youth, for young adults, for evolving adults, for exploring adults. I know I look like I'm 25, but I'm not. I'm in my early 40s. And my point is, I started serving when I was 26 years old. So I was still a Yuvikendra or a young adult. So I've always related to that and I've always invested in that. So make use of these opportunities, as is being shared in the chat also about our Seekers Culture or Seeking Culture Forum and our Power Hour class and so on. The remaining 7 questions will be answered, not right now, but will be answered in meaningful mornings. I believe that opportunity was shared with you in the day 2 email. So try to tune into that when we recommence meaningful mornings on January 14th. That is when, I believe that's a Saturday, the next day on a Sunday, I will start to answer the last 7 questions. Now, our crew is going to close Slido, but you can always ask questions. That will be shared in the Facebook chat, the link to ask questions. The last 5 minutes of our 400 minutes together. Your reflection adventure of the day was to go for a walk and to brood over the 300 minutes for 30 minutes to let this flow through your personality. The application of this comes to a wonderful quote from Puja Swami Chinmayananda that shares, plan out your work. And I forgot the second part. Can you share it in the chat? The second part of this quote. Plan out your work and? Yes. Work out your plan. This walk that you went on was really to come up with a plan. Here is your ray, your reflection adventure of the year. In the survey that was shared with you, one of the questions was, do you think we should have the happiness series once or twice a year? I also filled out the survey. I wrote once a year. Why? Because I have to work harder for the happiness series, so I don't want to work harder. But here I am telling you to work hard and smart, and here I am trying to make excuses. But anyways, your ray, your 1 year application is, we have gone through 8 personality powers that are sectioned in 2. I want you to choose one from each section, and that personality power should be invested in, should be practiced for a season. For a season. So now, Wednesday, December 21st is the first day of winter for most of us. So you have to practice either Anima or Mahima. Then the first day of spring, first day of summer, first day of fall, choose one. That's your ray. And what Sheila suggested today, she and I went out for lunch, she said, encourage everyone to print out the summary emails that are shared. They're very lovely emails that are coming through Luma, I believe. So print these out and put them on your fridge. Like when I look around at all this stuff here, I look at the fridge the most and everything that's on the fridge, and I'm sure it's similar for you. Announcements in 2 minutes. On day 1, I talked about our media. On day 2, I talked about our casts, podcasts, webcasts. I was informed that we now have 100,141 views on our YouTube channel. So we did cross that 100,000 mark during this workshop. Our books, you got to see that in our video. And I was informed that we have more than 300 seekers who have downloaded the Prithvi Seva Guide. Now, Sheila told me not to speak about this because all of you are so generous. All of you, since spring of 2020, so that's less than 3 years, you, not Vivek, have donated $467,775 to society. All of us donate lots to Chinmay Mission. I acknowledge that. But the number I shared with you is to non-religious charities. So you are generous. And that's why Sheila told me not to share what I'm about to share. But when do husbands listen to their wives? Chinmay Mission Niagara was the first center I was assigned to by Puja Swami Tejomayananda in 2008. In 2011, I assigned myself to Chinmay Mission London. Chinmay Mission London now has a ashram that's probably of the value of around $2 million. In 2013, Puja Swami Tejomayananda assigned me to Chinmay Mission Pittsburgh. Chinmay Mission Pittsburgh probably has an ashram of the value of $3 million. And in 2014, I assigned myself to Chinmay Mission Cleveland. So in all of this, and Chinmay Mission Cleveland will about to have $1 million ashram after repairs and so on. Chinmay Mission Niagara is like a shoe. A shoe enables all of the other parts of the body in one's life to work, correct? But a shoe is always kept outside. It's always neglected. And I feel that's how I treat Chinmay Mission Niagara. It's the shoe for London, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and so on. And so this morning I was checking. Our savings account right now has $112 in it. so less than your wallet. And our checking account has a negative of, as in a minus of $37,171. Anyone who wants to help to bring this to a lesser number from minus 37 to whatever, you can offer your contribution through Canada Helps. I'm not going to say anything more about this. In terms of our dynamics, I had shared that I like to live by independence, but I am dependent on our crew. I am vulnerably sharing that. I'm also dependent on my parents. I'm dependent on my children. I'm most dependent on my spouse. Adding one more field to this, I'm dependent on our community. If you were not so steady and sincere and strong, I would not have the same evoked from me. I am dependent on our community. I'm dependent on every one of you. And so I pray to Sri Hanumana to continue to grace every one of us, to guide every one of us, to be tougher inside than ever before, and to radiate more hope than ever before. And to complete this by being Sri Hanumana, the one with all virtues in all ways. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.